All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 between PSG.LGD and Team Aster. It is, of course, MLPDota, joined by the lovely johnxfire. John, tell me, LGD, they obviously pulled off game number 1 pretty convincingly. What do you feel like Aster did wrong in that game was it even 30 minutes? I can't even remember how long they lasted.
It's around about 33 minutes, Mike. I feel like Aster needs to really shake it up a bit, run something a bit less standard, but something you might have practiced before. Go back to some old strats you might have had in plan or new strats you have in store. Because, the Shadow Demon Luna, sure, Luna's pretty strong. She got buffed in a very strange way, would have reworked her aura. But, Luna Shadow Demon was a thing even in the past patches. It's been popping in and out. It's always kind of stable. With a shake-up patch like this where, a lot of things are radically different, I think you have to play outside the box for a bit. Try something new, shake it up a bit, see what you can pull out. And LGD, although, Juggernaut, Magnus isn't exactly groundbreaking too, they run it really effectively. Like, it's a pretty old strat you used to run. You go back to it, it's just so much better now when you can get it working with the change to Juggernaut, how fast you can farm in lane, deny giving you gold. You can just really accelerate that early farm, the emphasis on early game stat efficient items as well. So they just played that really well, played around their cooldowns, got early farm they needed, got the lanes, that they wanted to win, won very handily. And I feel like Aster does have to shake up their game plan just a bit, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. I'd have to agree with you. I think we talked about it before the first game that we saw. It's a new patch. You're up against arguably the second best team in the world, according to TI8. Maybe after the first major we just saw, you could make a different argument. But LGD is a pretty damn good team. Team Aster probably need to do something that is really unexpected against a team like LGD. John, if we talk about some hero picks here, though, Undying, one of your favorites, comes out first from LGD.
Oh, yeah.
And then Aster go into the Shaman Brewmaster. But tell me, John, there's been a few changes with Undying. You literally just played it a few hours ago. How did you feel about it?
I feel like Undying's in a pretty nice spot. Honestly, he's always been pretty good. He had his base movement reduced just a bit, but now Flesh Golem at level 6 isn't actually a very weird spell, because at level 6 before with Undying, there were, you'd usually take Flesh Golem, but a lot of cases where you could justify not getting it. And now, it's much stronger. I feel like you do want to take that skill when you hit 6 now. It's just really useful in team fights. That damage it pumps out, and the slow is really nice. So it's a bit of a buff. I'm not sure if it was really completely necessary. Some people did argue that Flesh Golem was his most underwhelming spell. I'd say as a hero, when you have 3 really good spells, you can kind of excuse one spell being mildly mediocre.
Yeah.
But, with a rework now, it's just pretty damn good. LGD also closes out their first phase picks with the Doom. Again, here we were talking about quite a fair bit in our own time. Rework on Devour and Scorched Earth, with Scorched Earth no longer doing the heal, and your heal being tied into Devour. It really changes how you play this hero and how you skill him up. I think the tendency now is probably to go 3 points in Devour and going 1-1 and everything else. In fact, even by 2 points in Devour, you have quite a fair bit of added HP regen over 80 seconds, Mike. 80 seconds.
It's ridiculous.
That's a lot of time in the lane.
He's basically unkillable, John. We had this situation before. It's just, he's so damn tanky. Yeah, he's got very low armor, but once you've got that Devour, a few levels in it, it's just so hard to get him out of the damn lane. Nevertheless, Team Aster, they go for the Shadow Shaman, they go for the Brewmaster. Now, I believe it was the Brewmaster that got the much bigger changes. Instead of Drunken Haze, we now have Cinder Brew. That AoE ability slows people down within that, and it basically guarantees you... Was it guarantee critting people? Or no, they can attack themselves. That's what it was. So they have a 35% chance at max level, if they do cop the Cinder Brew, to now attack themselves, which is hilarious. There was a difference with the immolation as well, I believe. Do you remember exactly what that was?
All I know is that the change to Brewmaster's spell forced certain spells to be classified as fire elements, so it can set off in the Cinder. So you do have some synergy there, and it's pretty interesting. I think the changes to Brew have been significant. That Cinder Brew is pretty big. I think the one thing to take note as well is Drunken Haze now being, I don't know, Drunken Brawler now being a self-active buff where your move speed does tend to alter just a bit, swinging between -20 and +40, but it gives you 80% evasion at level 4 and an 80% chance to crit for 200 all the way up to, 260%. It's pretty wild. I think the one wild thing about that is, sure, if you get hit by -20 move speed, that sounds pretty bad. But Brewmaster has a slow in the form of Cinderbrew now as well. So it's not the end of the world, and I feel like it's going to be really annoying to deal with, especially if you have someone that can constantly immolate people in that Cinderbrew.
Yeah. And that was the change with that the immolation. Any fire element attacks will actually essentially cause them to ignite and cause some DPS, some tick damage for a few seconds.
And it refreshes the spell on you. It refreshes the debuff, so
How disgusting.
it's like it's freshly applied.
How disgusting. Faces Void, though.
Pretty sick.
Faces Void, John. The time lock changes that the man had, I don't know if it's that good, honestly. I've made the point that I think that Void is going to be much more involved in this new meta that we're going to be seeing. But it feels a bit clunky when you're playing it. That new time lock, the new time lock that we saw.
I feel like it's a bit overvalued. I mean, it's certainly very good. I just think, in comparison to everything else that's very good, like, say, Brewmaster in combination with a hero that can set off Immolate a lot, it's definitely not as wild, Mike. It's certainly very nice. I'm not sure how it changes Void overall. I think it just makes him a bit better in that late game when he has enough attack speed to really proc all of those time locks. Early game, it's I don't think it's too significant. Damage change is pretty interesting. The bash is pretty nice, but I think overall his change is not like, it's not as wild to say Brewmaster causing you to hurt yourself.
Yeah. On that note, by the way, if we're still looking at Team Aster's draft here, which we are, do you think in combination with the Void they may go and pick like a position 4 Jakiro in this situation, or even a position 5, because he does have fire element abilities. As well as that, you do have the combination with the Void with the Ice Path and Macropire. So it feels like Jakiro could be pretty decent here.
Jakiro would be really good here. In combination with Shadow Shaman, you push really well. You have a good amount of control from Shadow Shaman. Great AoE from the Jakiro. Great follow-up for the Faceless Void's Chronosphere. And you can constantly ignite with Brewmaster's Cinderbrew, right? It would be fairly interesting. They don't go for it, though. They do go with Ogre Magi. But I'm a bit worried for them already, Mike, because LGD just grabs the FY Rubik again. We saw what it did last game. I am fairly certain FY is consistent enough that he can have just as much impact in this game.
Oh, I'm sure he is, John. It's they do have the fire element with the Ogre, though. So they do still get the combination with the Cinder Brew coming up from the Brewmaster. I do agree that it is still scary versing FY's Rubik, as well as the fact that there's now a Doom there and Undying, both of which have been changed to be a lot harder to kill and much more annoying. But let's see what LGD go for with this fourth pickup. They only have 20 seconds of reserve time left. Of course, it will be especially interesting to see what kind of build they go for with this Ogre. And one of my most hated heroes to see, John, the Arc Warden comes back out. Nobody ever wanted to see this again after the Major. Nobody wanted to see it.
It's definitely a very powerful hero. I think with the changes to teleport boots as well, along with the dedicated TP scroll slot, and those being independent of each other, you might be able to see Arc Wardens do some really funky plays with that. So I actually am looking forward to see if that impacts the gameplay of Arc Warden and other, kind of Boots of Travel sorts of split pushers in any way. I'm interested to see how the pros adapt to that double TP. Should be interesting.
Well, final banouts now coming out. Team Aster. 25 seconds reserve time for them. See what the last banner will be. It does seem like both teams are still looking for their mid-cores. They will get rid of the Lena, which is you wouldn't really expect the Lena to be coming out. But well, you never know, I guess. You still do have the Rubik with that spell amp available. LGD. Final ban for them. Am I the only one, by the way, John, that hates seeing Arc Warden? Is that just me, or does everyone just hate it to death?
I mean, it does. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I feel like Arc Warden has the potential to be as annoying as Tinker, which thankfully LGD does ban out.
Thank goodness.
But it does have the potential to be that annoying. I feel like it's not as annoying as Tinker. Personally, I still find, late game when Tinker has everything he needs, he just rearms and does all that fun stuff to you. I still find Tinker a bit more annoying myself, Mike, but I can see why Arc Warden would be on a similar level, if not beyond, for you.
Mm.
But I feel like the hero it's in a fairly good spot. It's not anywhere near broken or overpowered. He has been since his launch really just worked over and readjusted time and time again. I feel like it's a fairly stable hero. It actually I'd want to say before 7.19 or 7.18, he wasn't too popular, but he's been in and out. And LGD does tie up their draft with a DK for themselves this time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, a fairly safe ending for this draft for LGD. Just we saw the DK, right? Like, sure, Team Aster didn't win last game, but at the same time, like, the DK struggled so much in that mid lane, yet still turned out to be quite hard to kill. He was that tanky frontliner for the team. Still had the initiation, so fair enough, LGD. They will go for that option. Aster, last pickup for them, and we just hope Aster does something pretty left field, like something a bit different. They've already started, mind you, which is good. It's just, what else is there? What's the last pickup for them? Oh. Yeah, okay. It's the farming game, John.
It does look like it, which, well, considering how fast the last game went, maybe we're in for a bit of a slower time. Maybe Aster wants to get a lot of early farm on that Alk and really start, getting some stuff done. We'll see how they decide to play with his Alk. I think it's fairly interesting to see the Alk nowadays, too, because, a lot of new items are in that would really make it annoying to deal with an Alchemist. Lots of stuff that buffs your self-heal. It can be pretty potent when you're trying to burst him off. He's just going to regen like a madman. You're going to need a lot more damage to take care of him if he itemizes that way.
Well, if I may, John, I don't know if you have this answer on you at the moment. Does Alchemist get the bonus gold from denying creeps?
I'm not sure if that interaction has changed from the fact that you get gold now from denies. I'm actually not too sure. I feel like it shouldn't, but you know what? I could be completely wrong. It's been a very long time since I've had to interact that way with an alchemist.
It'd be pretty interesting if that was the case. Like, yeah, maybe you're not going to get that many denies, but then again, you never really know. Like, once you've got those few levels in acid spray and you're forcing the DK to play a bit more safe, get a couple more denies in there. If it gives you that bonus gold on the Alchemist, it could be a pretty fast farm coming out for the Alchemist. But let's see. I'm sure we'll find out very, very soon as the game has started. Interesting to note, though. The one thing I'm questioning about the Alchemist pick is it doesn't seem to combo well at all with the Void. Like, I don't know what it's going to offer putting him in that mid lane. Like, in terms of the draft that they have, like, what does it really do for your team?
I think it's really just there to guarantee you have a core who can find gold for that mid game. Again, in the last game, Aster just really struggled to get any sort of big farm going. XXS was probably their most farmed hero for a while, and then Dragonite catching up a bit after that. But I guess they just really want to make sure one of their heroes does have items to kind of force some objectives, contest some stuff from LGD as they approach that mid game. Especially since you're fighting against Ame's Orc Warden, which can farm quite fast. So I guess you want to keep the pace up with a hero like Al. Probably. Possibly.
Well, mate, already making it pretty much impossible to get that bot bounty rune. He is just placing those spirits there. Just stacking them up and... Well, there's just no way in hell anyone from Aster is going to run into that, surely. And they won't. They'll just back off after seeing it. But Baboka won't do it. We'll just back off. Top lane. Chalice did not manage to get a bounty rune, so it will be a 2 for 2 anyway. He will cop quite a bit of harassment from Sylar. And it does indeed look like Fenrir does go for the level 1 Bloodlust as well. So the build is still standard for the Ogre. I do wonder, however, John, does he go for that Midas build we keep seeing where you multicast off the Midas and just get multiple
again,
Midas?
It depends entirely on how this laning phase goes. If he does find the early farm, I wouldn't fault him for it, but it's rather strange. Also, Mike, I do believe Alchemist should be getting that Revel's Greed. He should be getting it every time he kills another unit which yields gold. So since the Denies yield gold now, he probably should be getting gold. We'll see. We'll see when he gets it Denied.
Is that balanced, John?
We'll find out. We'll experience it ourselves, Mike.
Oh, he gets it. Oh, no,
That wasn't a deny, Mike.
No, it wasn't. My eyes are playing tricks on me. Lover, come on, mate. You can pull one off. I suppose maybe we'll have to come back to Lover. He hasn't quite found the deny we're looking for yet. Top lane. Looks like there may be an engagement. Sylar, he's actually going on to Chalice right now. Sylar, though, copping a lot of harassment himself. And Chalice is only at the level 1 mark, so he only does go for the Devour, but again, that does allow him to really sustain this lane and trade right clicks with the Void. Feeling pretty safe with that added 5 HP regen at the level 1 Devour.
Yeah, again, it's pretty hard to zone out a Doom now when he has so much bonus regen with just 1 Devour at level 1. By level 2, it just gets a bit ridiculous with 10 bonus regen for 80 seconds.
I'm still waiting for that damn deny, but it's just not coming out. So we'll come back to Lover. Meanwhile, bot lane, X-Nova being very annoying on that Undying. XXS losing 12 strength already thanks to that decay. He will back off for the moment. Sylar doing okay in the lane, though. Chalice is pretty much keeping up with the Void, as it's really expected. I mean, you've got the Devourer as well, which does count as a last hit, or a creep kill, I guess. With FY standing there, you've just got to be a bit worried on that Void.
Yeah, it definitely guarantees that you can't overextend as much in that wave. And, you know, your Ogre Magic can't quite do too much for you anyway. Every time he goes in for the last hit, Sylar will cop level 1 Infernal Blade, not the most damage, but it's still fairly annoying. And again, you can't quite push this Doom out with Devour the way it is now.
Well, bot lane, X-Nova may end up falling on the Undying. He does throw some more decays out. Though it does look like XXS is going to continue the chase. He doesn't actually have the Drunken Brawler available. Though he does continue the chase. He did have the Stomp available just then, but when the Undying's right next to his tier 1 tower, it's just not worth the dive. He will let it go. So, again, 3.5 minutes in. No first blood quite yet from either side. Mid lane, I mean, I keep looking over to it. Lover and Somnus, they're pretty much, I guess you could argue, trading farm in a sense, though. Thing is, Somnus does have 10 last hits more than Lover, and he does have 7 denies as well. Bot lane, though. Looks like they might find Arme, and they will do so.
You've just achieved first blood.
Baboka just committed that Aether Shock, and I'm sure he committed a Shackle as well. XXS was there with the right clicks, and Arc Warden, very squishy in the early stages of the game, so it's not actually too hard to kill him off once you've connected that Shackle.
Yeah, definitely not the hardest hero to kill off. No natural escape. Not too tanky, as you mentioned, and, you know, Brewmaster just pumps out a lot of damage if you can prime it right. So, a bit unfortunate for Ame. Arc Warden does want a bit of a good start. Not the end of the world for him, though. He's still doing quite well in terms of last hits, and he should still be able to play a catch-up as we approach the first 10 minutes.
Well, it looks like they might be able to find Fenrir at the top lane, and they will do so. Yoga Magi loses his life. Again, FY just finding him in the jungle. Gets the lift off, and with Chalice there with that Infernal Blade, it's just a lot of damage, especially on these tankier cores like Ogre. Oh, excuse me, not tankier cores, but tankier supports. With that, a 1-to-1 now. We're about to reach that 5-minute mark. There will be some boundary runes coming up very, very soon. X-Nova looks like he wants to get in position to try and snag the enemy bounty rune. Doesn't actually go for any kind of blind decay at the bot lane to try and cancel that salve. Baboka making the chase onto Arme. Arme will manage to pick up that bounty rune. There is no mana left on Baboka. He just hits like an absolute truck, and he's going to continue this chase. He would force out the shrine, but I don't know what the game plan is here. Now he gets fluxed, and he is dead.
Yeah. A bit optimistic with that chase. Maybe he expected the shrine to be popped earlier from the mid lane. I'm not sure if that was going to be the case. Somnus is again on that DK, which doesn't really need too much regen, especially when you have a very free lane like this, 37-13, whereas the enemy out is 24-0, so not much pressure on Somnus. He wouldn't need to pop that shrine. It was going to be up.
Yeah. And speaking of Somnus, John, like, the Alchemist has just left the lane completely. He'll make his way back in now, but as soon as he shows himself, he drops an acid spray. Top lane.
Bot.
Oh, excuse me. Arme was in a bit of trouble, I'm guessing. But he looks fine now, though. X-Nova. Decay's coming out. Just a bit of harassment again. Looks like both sides are okay, but my point was, like, every time Lover shows himself in lane, he's always just getting harassed out again, and now FY has found him. They will not go for the kill. It's not like they have the DPS anyway for the Alchemist with just a Rubik and a DK, but still, if you're not farming on the Alchemist, you may as well just be dead. Honestly, like, there's just no point to the hero if you're not getting some farm going.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a very hard time. I mean, again, you do want to just kind of farm up as the Alch. He isn't too far behind where I'd be worried. As an Alchemist, you're basically going to be able to close that net worth difference fairly soon enough. It's still not the ideal start, and we still haven't seen a deny come out.
No, we haven't. Which is very upsetting. And it looks like it won't come anytime soon either. Though, if we're speaking of denies, Somnus is on 17 denies, as well as those 50 last hits he has now. It's kind of ridiculous, but I guess it is a DK. It's to be somewhat expected. X-Nova. Bot lane. Just got a message to increase the in-game sound. So I'll do that. Hopefully that works out a bit better for you guys. In fact, we'll do it a bit more just in case. Just to make sure. 2-1 though, John. Slight net worth lead to the side of LGD. 2k their way 8 minutes in, or almost 8 minutes in, but well, actually, bot lane, Baboka, going to be in trouble again. He's trying to go onto Arme. I don't know what he's going to do by himself. He does have XXS, and he runs pretty darn fast as well. Arme actually going to end up falling, and Baboka making a run, though. Chrono comes in. Who have they found there? It is FY's Rubik. But I suppose early on in this stage of the game, it's just worthwhile to throw it out and find a kill. X-Nova was a bit late to the party. He won't be able to help his teammates out. But did you see how down fast that Brewmaster ran from that tier 1 tower?
That's the phase boots. Again, it is pretty wacky, that bonus move speed you get. On melee heroes, that is an additional 20% on the 15% you get. So it looks whack. You do have to be targeting, a unit for that. You can't just turn it on anytime you want. But in situations like that where you need to close the gap fast, it definitely makes a big difference, Mike.
Now top lane, they do commit the Doom out onto the Ogre, and Fenrir will easily end up falling. Nobody's there to deny him, even if they wanted to. Now stun comes out. Lover does have the chemical rage, will be perfectly fine. And they'll continue trading farm, and in fact, Lover is still behind the DK, but he has caught up quite well thanks to that Grievel's Greed. About 400 gold behind. And it means, I guess the gold means a lot more for an Alchemist than it does for a Dragon Knight. Bot lane, Arme gonna be in trouble. They have surrounded him, and Arme will end up falling to Baboka, maybe the secondary to 4, and they will. A 1-for-1. Now the Undying will be the target. Sylar We'll end up finding him surely. X-Nova just trying to make a run for it, but he does get stunned up and he does end up getting taken down. And so a 2-for-1 trade for the side of Aster. They only lose Baboka on that Shadow Shaman, and they do get the carry on the opposing end, so they're more than happy with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely so. Very happy with that trade. And, you know, they do get a lot of chip damage done on that tier 1 bot as well. They did lose out in their tier 1 up top, though. And they are giving Chalice a lot of space in this Doom. But that is a Doom with farm. I'm not sure how terrifying that is exactly. It's still something, I suppose. Chalice is, you know, pretty much free farmed up top. He's taking the tier 1 by himself. He's bullied out the top lane, forced or faces Void here to run around now. Sylar forced to switch down to that bot lane. However, Ame on that, you know, on that safe lane farm has been struggling a bit, Mike.
He certainly has. It does look like Sylar may actually go into Chalice right now. Meanwhile, mid lane, there is a bit of action going on there as well. Fenrir will end up falling. Though Chalice still in trouble. He is healing up throughout all this, and now the Chrono committed. He'll get both of them. X-Nova stuck in the Chrono, but he's literally doing no damage to him. Chalice is out healing his right clicks. And now XXS will give it a shot, and again, there is literally no damage. Can they get it done with Baboka? Well, Chalice is over half HP now. He goes back in. Baboka says, what the hell is this? I want out of this one. FY comes in though, has the Fade Bolt, surely has the lift, doesn't even need it. X-Nova will take him down. And Chalice just going to continue the chase. John, the tower's dealing absolutely no damage to Chalice either. I mean, there is a Vanguard, mind you, but this is sort of ridiculous.
It definitely is, Mike. You have, you know, there's a certain point in time, around halfway, where you can stack up 2 instances of Devour at once, so that is 40 bonus regen, Mike, on top of Chalice's Vanguard. How do you actually kill this guy 11 minutes in with near 50 HP per second regen?
Not near, John. He's got 56 HP regen per second right now. He surpassed the 50 threshold. That's actually better than Chemical Rage, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I think so. At these levels, it is.
All right, that's cool.
And look at that. He's just full HP again. He doesn't care. He's going up. He's Infernal Blading. It doesn't matter to Chalice. He's forced 2-3 heroes in this location to try to pressure him out, which buys a lot of space for everyone else to really just do what they want.
Well, that's just hilarious. We'll see what they can do about him. Fenrir, well, gets Infernal Bladed. Now the lift as well. He does have a bit of help around there with Baboka, but I'm not sure if he wants to engage. He actually drops the Serpent Wards onto FY and throws out the Shackle that the heal comes out. X-Nova, can he actually save FY? He actually does. FY gets out of there safely, and they'll get Baboka as well. And there's the tip. It is from X-Nova, though, to be fair. To say nice work on getting out of that one, but that was unexpected, I've got to tell you, John.
I'm just in shock that FY managed to get away with that. If he was brave, he could have turned around and stolen something. You know, maybe shackles from Shadow Shaman. I think that was the last spell, because obviously he was shackled up after the Serpent Wards were casted. If he managed to steal wards before being shackled, I'd just be hands down, just draw to the floor. But the fact that he still escaped with that much HP, and you know, after the wards were dedicated to just kill him off, I mean, how?
I don't know, John. I do not know. I am looking around right now, though, to the cores or the carries of either team. Sylar has got a Mask of Madness up, because we really haven't kept an eye on these guys at all. Ame as well, got the Necro 1 up, as well as 2 Wraith Bands, is going into the Midas now. LGD, I mean, although they had a terrible start on that Arc Warden, it just seems like they don't mind at all. With that DK, they just keep pushing down towers with the Elder Dragon form. Chalice is literally unkillable right now, and FY apparently can just walk out whenever the hell he feels like it, so it's like Aster, it's like, alright, we're getting some farm in our Void, but it's an Arc Warden we're going to have to deal with later on.
Yeah, and they just give away tier 2 for free. No defense coming out from Aster. Their tier 3s are being knocked, Mike, and it doesn't look like LGD is going to stop.
No, they're not. They're going for the tier 3 tower 14 minutes into this game. They're only 4k net worth ahead, but they don't give a crap. Now, well, there's the Brewmaster split. They're going to go after Chalice. Now the Chrono comes out, though it only catches one in the DK, and he's so tanky right now. Can they actually burst him? The Shackles is there. Everyone is literally attacking this DK. Somnus will finally end up falling. Can they find Chalice as well? He is making a run for it. X-Nova is there to try and help out with the Flesh Golem, and now Baboka trying to make it back out as well. Chalice, he seemed literally unkillable before, and he is walking his way out slowly but surely. Can they slow him down enough? FY is there to distract. Now they're going to go after the Rubik instead, and they actually cannot kill him. Now they'll turn around onto Aster. 3-man decay as well as the failed paid bot, and now Lover's dead. They'll get the Infernal Blade off onto Fenrir. He's gone as well. X-Nova making the chase onto Baboka, who's ticking down slowly thanks to that urn. Baboka, can he make his way out of here? Can he chuck an FY? X-Nova making the chase. Has the urn charge available? He will actually give up on it. They committed a Chrono, Shackle, the Chemical Rage, the Brewmaster split, and they finally got the DK after everyone was attacking him. But the problem was you had nothing left to deal with Chalice or X-Nova. FY was there.
For a while, Chalice only had one instance of regen. I think at one point both of his instances popped out. Maybe one of them was close to popping out. So he wasn't even at max regen for most of that harass. And it's still really hard to kill him. You commit everything you have. You commit the Brewmaster ult, as you mentioned, Chronosphere, Chemical Rage, and the Serpent Wards. Your defense is not going to be as tight as it should be if LGD chooses to push within the next 24 seconds.
Oh, they've gone on to FY, John. Top lane, XXS, he couldn't quite find him, but now Chalice will be the target. Here comes Sylar as well. Can they finally find this man? The Shackle is there and they will get him. Though, what do they trade for that kill? Lover, he's falling very, very low. XXS runs back in. He has no HP, though, and no Brewmaster split either. The Arme is falling low himself. Sylar, nice time lock. The heals come out, though. Now, the Infernal Blade as well. Sylar still making a run for it. The Flux, will it be enough? Arme is still running the Urn Charge as well. Sylar, he's gone too far. I don't think he can time walk this off. He's been silenced now as well, and he will end up going down to Arme. Meanwhile, Baboka ends up losing his life as well. FY, the only one to go down for LGD. I don't know why you initiate on Chalice though, John. He's got a Crimson Guard available. He's proven time and time again he can't die as this Doom. And now they're going to try and go into the Dragon Knight. Lover is there with the stun, but Chalice joins him. Crimson Guard to help him out. Somnus will run up the hill. Now the Doom comes out onto the Alchemist. The Alchemist will make a run though. FY is there with the lift, and now what does he actually spell steal? He got the... How did he get the Brewmaster split, John? How did he manage that?
What? I mean, if there's anyone that can do that, Mike, it's really FY.
Yeah, but how does he do it? Like, it's how long did he have to use another ability before it was stolen?
God, there's not too much time. There's not much of a window there. Granted, it's kind of strange. XXS does not have a single level in Cinderbrew, so his
Chrono is nice. 3 heroes. This could be the fight they needed. The wards have been dropped as well. They will take down FY. Now Somnus, still okay, honestly. He can regen through all this, and Sylar's copying a lot of damage, though they will throw out a stun onto Chalice again. He's still more than healthy. They're going to try and go onto this DK, though. X-Nova's healing him up, and Somnus is literally taking on 3 heroes. He will end up falling, though. Now Chalice will test his tankiness. He's copying a lot of crits from XXS, though 4-man decay comes out from X-Nova. Chalice is just running around the map right now. Stun will end up connecting. Now time lock as well. The Shackle is there, and Chalice looks like he will finally end up falling, and he will. Mind you, I don't believe he had any Devour charges going on at that moment, so he didn't have the added regen. Unless I'm wrong.
One.
He had one?
He had one.
All right.
Yeah, at least one. Possibly another one that was just about to expire anyway. He has been doing a lot of work, Mike. I think the one issue right now for LGD is that I'm starting to get a bit worried about their damage output. Without Ame around, the damage feels a bit lacking. Your DK isn't really pumping it out just yet, although, you know, that splash from Dragon Form is fairly nice. You do want a bit more. I'd say maybe this is the time where you reconsider what spells on Chalice you want him to have from creeps. Maybe you go for that Wolf now, the crit Wolf, for some added damage, and then I think you're pretty happy. The 2 armor, the toughness aura from that Wildkin, is, you know, it was valuable a while ago, but you have a Solar Crest, you have a Medallion now, you have that Crimson Guard. I think you can afford to go for something else now.
Well, they'll go for the Roshan for the moment. Aster don't seem to have any idea this is going on. They don't actually have any wards around that area, so they can't spot LGD out. They are actually looping around into the enemy jungle now, but well, they're not going to really get much out of that, apart from a bit of farm. LGD, who do they really give the Aegis to here? I suppose Somnus will probably be the target. And yeah, he'll pick it up for himself, so now you've got to kill him twice. He actually went for the Sanjin Yasha build as well on this DK, which again is pretty interesting that this item's just come out of nowhere and is back into the meta. But it's great to see.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it comes down to the emphasis of this patch on value items early on, really that early to mid-game timing. There's a priority on getting at least 2 of the, you know, that cheap stat item for your main attributes, so rate bands for agi heroes, bracers for strength heroes, and talismans for int heroes. And there's a lot of emphasis on getting that really early in the lane phase to secure your farm and lane, and transitioning from that to, again, a very stat-efficient item by that mid-game, usually the Sanjin Yasha for most heroes.
XXS will get stunned up bot lane. And actually there is a fair bit of damage coming out of Somnus. Now the lift as well. FY will help out. Does get the Thunderclap for himself. I mean, with that SNY that we see coming out of the DK as well as the Shadow Blade, and even those braces, John, this DK is actually starting to dish out quite a bit of damage. He does opt as well to go for the plus 30 damage at level 15. So now he's hitting about 220 per right click. It's going to help out the cause quite a lot for LGD. Meanwhile, Arme as well, starting to slowly get online. Who have they found there? It will be Chalice, and he is surrounded, but he's got the double Devour passives going on right now, and they kill him off. And well played to Aster for doing so, but you've got to look at that and go, you had to drop the Serpent Wards, the Chemical Rage was there, the Shackles were there. 4 heroes were right-clicking him. That's how much it takes right now to take down a Doom. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's a very heavy commitment for a position tree. And, you know, he didn't even waste this Doom there, so when he respawns, that threat will be there for the next team fight. Whereas your spells will not. You know, Serpent Wards are on a pretty hefty cooldown. There's a certain window of opportunity for LGD to play around that. And, you know, their map is pretty closed out. Aster's trying their best. I feel like the fight they're giving out here is definitely much more robust than last game. 15 to 11, it's not as wide of a gap. They can definitely close this out a bit easier.
Well, it looks like they're going to go into the mid lane. FY has a haste rune. They will stun him up. They want him out of this team fight. The Hex is there as well, and that was one fast chicken, but it's also going to be dinner for tonight for Aster. Chalice wants to go back in. There's 4 heroes there. He literally has no backup right now, John. Look at this man. Manning up. Nobody is around to help out. They're slowly making their way in, and Aster don't know how to deal with it. Now, Somnus will jump in. The Brewmaster split is there. They want to go after the Alchemist with no Chemical Rage available. Stun will go out again onto the Doom, but Aster don't want any part of this. Now, Arme gets shackled up, and the Chrono's there as well. A bit of a... Well, they didn't really micro that too well. And with that, Alchemist and Void looks like they will both end up dropping. Brewmaster XXS. I don't see how he gets out of this one, although he will use the Drunken Haze. Excuse me, the Drunken Brawler. XXS still making a run for it. Fenrir may not be so lucky, but XXS being chased down now. Somnus will not leave this man alone, and that is a lot of damage with one right click thanks to that Shadow Blade. And it looks like they probably will end up finding Fenrir as well. They do have the level 1 Ignite available with the slow if necessary, and he will throw it out with the lift. X-Nova takes care of that one for himself. With that, top tier 3 tower being knocked on now by LGD. They're probably just going to take this. I can't imagine Aster defends in time.
They do have the Serpent Wards up for the defense. I'm not sure if you commit it now. You probably want to save it for maybe your mid, maybe your tier 4s if that's going to be the case. But, you know, Alchemist is back up.
Yeah, they're going for the team fight. Double stun comes out, but the Hex as well. Now the Serpent Ward's not really trapping anyone in. They're going for Chalice, but again, I don't know about this. It's a pretty hard target. Now they'll turn around again onto Chalice. He's just healing up throughout all of this. They've lost Fenrir. They're going to lose Lover as well. That Spirit Vessel damage is quite hefty, although That Radiance mischance coming in clutch. But they're going to lose their melee racks and range racks anyway.
Yeah. And, you know, those stolen Serpent wards are really helping that push and really secure that kill. Zoned out Aster as well. So, again, FY with these really clutch steals. Just really turning these fights for LGD.
Well, now, Tier 3 mid tower being taken down. I believe Chrono, yeah, it's got a 20-second cooldown right now on it. They do lift him up as well. Can they actually burst this Void down? That is a long lift time, by the way. Chalice wants to back out. Still, he's probably still pretty healthy throughout all this. Who are they actually aiming for? They will again go after FY. He's only the only target they can really get out of this. And with that, they're going to lose Baboka as well. Lover falling quite low, still trying to go after Chalice. We've talked about this, Lover. They will go into X Nova now with the Chrono, but there's no follow-up coming out. And he's been lifted up. The Chrono's been stolen by FY as well. So, Sylar, I don't know if he gets out of this one. He may not. Probably not, to be honest. The zombies are still chasing. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they will end up taking out a couple more. This looks like GG well played to me. Lover will jump in. The Mjolnir, though, really helping Somnus just stand there and right-click. Again, FY does have a Chrono available. So you've got to be afraid of just trying to initiate right now, because he can just get in there and make it so you can't do anything, and this might be the time to do it. In fact, he does. He throws the Chrono out. Baboka does not cancel the TP. And with that, they steal the Hex, and that is almost definitely going to be GG. The melee racks, the melee racks are going down. This will be Mega Creeps, and they call. Again, John, a very convincing win by LGD. I agree with your sentiment that Aster certainly did a better job this game, but I don't know. The draft just didn't come together for me.
Yeah, definitely didn't. I feel like it was a bit tricky picking that Alchemist into the Dragonite in the mid lane. And it definitely did struggle. Maybe they were expecting Arc Warden to go down mid, but you know, when you try that Alchemist up, they're just going to shift it around. So, you know, a good fight coming out from Team Aster, but LGD is showing us the potential that's coming out from this patch, Mike. I mean, Chalice on that Doom. What the hell was he doing? What was that? I can't even comprehend just watching a Doom live that long. Do you remember the time when Scorched Earth was reworked and Doom was almost like this?
Yeah.
This feels worse than that because it lasts so much longer.
Well, John, he was unkillable. In fact, how many times did he die that game?
Just 3 times.
3 times. Okay, he did die 3 times, but every single time they tried to kill Chalice, it was always a Chrono, the Shackle, the Chemical Rage had to be used. Like they threw everything but the kitchen sink at that man, and he was still taking it on the chin. Nevertheless, though, John, that is a best of 2 series done. That is the first one of the night. LGD will take it up against Aster. Of course, our next best of 2 will be C-Deck versus Vici Gaming. And according to the schedule, that will be up and ready to go in about 25 minutes. I believe we are going to follow the schedule. So we'll have to wait and we'll have to stick around and wait for that one. Though it should be a good one and a much more even one, I'm sure, at that. John, any final words on this series before we, take a small break and come back hopefully very soon?
I hope everyone's having fun. Me and Mike are certainly having fun. I mean, Jesus, this patch is definitely very, very exciting, Mike. I am not looking forward to seeing Doom in my games. I have to tell you. Boy.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we do hope you're enjoying. We'll be right back in hopefully just a moment for the next series of the day. Won't be too long, guys.